We black again. We working out. I have to work out tonight. Got to work out. Got to work out from the hood to the Holy Land. Oh, part 1. I like it. I like it. Man, we doing it big this evening. Yeah, we doing it big this evening. Yeah, yeah, we doing it big this evening. Yeah, let me get this out. We doing it big. You in the house, family. You in the right place to be. You're in the right place to be. You're in the right place. Okay, here we go. Make sure I'm looking. Come on in, family. Yeah, y'all know I done got some toys, so I'm gonna act a fool. I gotta act a fool. Yeah. Let me see how I look. Yeah. Appreciate y'all, man, for being in the house, man. One love. For real. Man, I want to give, so much gratitude, for the grandmaster teachers, man. Love these brothers, man. Love these elders, man. Very, very dearly. Dr. Ben, the High Chancellor Williams, Baba Clark, Sheikh Diop, honor him for all his research. He went a little left on me, but I give him a little credit right for, Chicago in the building, Black Power. Yeah, we in the house. You already know what it is. Let me get it in here. Let me tighten up. They looking down on me. I was honored to be with Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark's, a few, many years. Dr. Ben, I was with Dr. Ben over 28 years before he passed. We're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into this. I couldn't even believe it was this long. You know what I'm saying? I don't even keep up with the dates no more, man. And I just got a chance to get back on, to get back into the groove of things. And so, I remember when my uncle, Pianki, he was already in the culture long before I was ever in the culture. He had already been going over to Kemet, going to the Nile Valley with Dr. Ben. But he was studying under Dr. Ben in New York. He would go up to New York and see Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark, give lectures. And this is my uncle right here, Pianki. He was raised in the craft with Dr. Ben. And you see him in Kemet. He went with Dr. Ben. He went 9 times, twice to Sudan and once to Ethiopia with Dr. Ben. So he was traveling his ass off over there. I was only able to go, 3 times, and I did get to Ethiopia. I never got to Sudan. Hopefully I can get there. So he passed it down to me. And after going to Kemet and into Africa so many times, when he got back, you energized, you want to give back to the community, and what him and a group of brothers and sisters that was from Detroit, I think it was some from other cities too. They started to produce a magazine, a comedic magazine. Now you had to been in the culture for a long time if you ever even seen this magazine. It was called the Alkebulanian, and you can see right here. I think they started putting this out in in the late in the late uh 1980s. I believe they started putting this out. I think these is one of the first. I believe this might have been the first one with Anubis. Anubis holding it down. Wait a minute, this was April 1989. It most definitely was one of the oldest ones. And so this was really my first, looking into the comedic culture was this magazine. And you can see here who is Ra. So, I was already studying on the ancient comedic, back in the 80s. Man, I was thinking like, damn, YouTube didn't come out to 2005. I want motherfuckers to know how long I've been in the culture. That's real talk. I don't brag or nothing. I don't brag or nothing because I feel good about it. But, you know, honestly, man, when you look at it, really, and I say it and I say it with profound, humbleness, you know. But this conscious community, I created it. It's real talk. If you weren't with Dr. B and the old heads, this new conscious community, I created it. That's real talk. I was the first one that came to YouTube and brought the comedic arts from the young expression. Now, if you was an old head and you was with Dr. Ben and you was when I came out, you was already in your 50s and yeah, you was with Dr. Ben in there. But this new generation of consciousness, you know what I'm saying? I was the first one doing lectures. None of these niggas was out here. And that's facts. And they know that. And they should admit that. And you don't have to admit it because it speaks for itself. You see, it speaks for itself. And so, like I say, this is in fucking 1989. You know what I'm saying? Where the fuck was you at in 1988? Majority of these niggas that claim they in the conscious community, they wasn't even fucking born yet. And I'm just being serious. I don't care what age you wasn't even born yet. And I was already studying into the Nile Valley. Okay. And so that's with all humbleness. I don't want to, you ain't got to, but it is what it is. When I lay out my resume, it should be respected. This the good master. This was in 1990 when this magazine, Dr. Clark, the grandmaster, Dr. Ben at work. And see, this is my uncle. He was one of the writers of this magazine. You see? This one was in August of Ramesses, and I seen this one over here, Judgment Day. I had the original, even Malcolm X and Heaven, the African woman. Heaven, the black woman is God, and this was long before YouTube. And so when you talking about this was in this is Founders Day, Alkebulanian Association where them brothers and sisters at that, and you can see Dr. Ben is there. This is 1987. This is when I first met Dr. Ben. 1987. Do y'all know next year being 2027? That's 40 years. That's crazy. I didn't realize that until I opened this lecture up. I knew I had been doing, but it just didn't dawn on me that it had been that long. 40 years. Like, damn, Seti, you getting old, nigga. Like, nigga, yeah. But I was in the culture at an early age, so whatever years of my life and shit, you know what I'm saying? I mean, damn, you're 72, shit. You know what I'm saying? I was 15. I was 15 when they started this, you know? And I remember the young brothers. That's Taraka right there. That's Bianca. They all went with Dr. Ben. You see Dr. Ben right there. And this is Founders Day. And then this is the next year. This is 1987. Dr. Ben was here. I believe, was he here that year? I believe he was here that year also. And so, they started bringing the grandmasters. This is 89. They were in Detroit. And so I was studying under Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark. Well, I think this might have been the first year I met Dr. Clark, was in 89. I know Dr. Ben, I met Dr. Ben in 1987. Matter of fact, this is in 1980. He came back in 88. He came back. And matter of fact, this is the same one. This is the same one right there. So this is 88. So he came right back. So he came in 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92. Dr. Ben came to Detroit about, maybe 8 years straight. And then he started getting older where he didn't want to move so much. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I was and that's crazy because people look at this. This was Dr. Ben died in I think it was March. I forget what year, Doc. It's been I ain't keeping up, but that was the January of the same year that Dr. Ben passed. I was there with the grandmaster. Yeah, he was man. I was blessed to be with that brother. Real talk. I was blessed to be able to be with that brother, man. Real talk. That was one of the most powerful blessings of my life, man, to be with that brother. And this is 89. I met Dr. Clark. Ben was there again. And you see 1990, you see they back. They'll Ashra, they back. They back. What year is this? This 1991. Who the key? This is first annual Dr. Yosef Ben Yakanan banquet, right? Who is the keynote speaker? Dr. John Henry Clark. It is 1992, second year. Who's the keynote speaker? Dr. John Henry Clark. That's crazy. You see it right there, Dr. John Henry Clark, keynote speaker. And so it just to show, and then people think, yeah. And matter of fact, this was what year was this? I remember that this man, this it was at a community college. Man, this was so packed. It was about 1,000 people at this lecture, and I'm not saying 1,000. It was over 1,000. It filled the whole down uh auditorium up at Wayne State Community College. He had over 1,000 people. It was people I couldn't even. It wasn't even no more seats for people. I seen it for myself. That was 1993. You feel me? And now what's crazy, this is me showing you how long I was with Doc. I wasn't just this is 2000. You see, 2000 with Doc, you know. Now Dr. Clark passed, I was with Dr. Clark for 9 years before he passed. I was able to go to his homecoming too. Here it is right here. I was able to go to his homecoming. This was in 1998. And so I met him in 89. You see, I met him in 89. And so I was able to spend 9 years with him. His homecoming was at Abyssinia Baptist Church. It was at Abyssinia Baptist Church. And so before and what's crazy, see, to show people, and this just a touch up. I ain't gonna go through all of this. And so before I even went to Kemet with Ash Quasi and Mary Quasi, I had already did 16 years of research with Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark. I had and my uncle. So when I went to Kemet, I'm gonna just be real. I was already an avatar. I'm just gonna be real. I was already an avatar when I stepped on the Holy Land. I was already an avatar. A lot of people was just, yeah, they may have been, but they didn't have that kind of background. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna be real. I don't brag or nothing, but I was already an avatar at that time. You see, this was my second year. You see, 2000. The first year was 2003. Second year was 2004, and my fifth year, that's when I became Seti. Seti and Tef. I was raised up. You feel me? I was raised up, and here I am being raised up. You see, that's me being raised up by the master teacher Ashra Quasi. You see, and from that when I became Seti, nigga, I just was doing, I just took off. What I did is I came to Detroit and just my uncle and them created the magazine. I just went to doing lectures. So I started doing lectures in uh this is True Bookstore, and that's crazy. Northland is no longer there. That's crazy to be able to look at these pictures like this and knowing that that building is no longer even there. And see, this is what they not showing y'all about the Pan-African community. Niggas talking shit. I grew up in the Pan-African community. You know, y'all don't know what the fuck y'all what the Pan-African community did is they opened up bookstores all over the fucking world. Even down in the Caribbean. That's what we did. That's what I know of as the Pan-African. I don't know what the fuck these niggas talking about. And so you was able to, literature. What the hell is we educated the populace. We educated the masses. If it wasn't for the Pan, all these books, and the crazy thing is Black American books. They didn't. It's all kind of books up there for all the communities. Is there. But the Pan African community did that. You didn't see no other community do this. Not one other fucking community did you see do this. Period. Period. It was the Pan African community that opened up all these bookstores like this. You see, and so I came to Truth Bookstore. I had already been coming here, but I was just buying my books. I was buying my books. That's Sister Nefertiti. I haven't seen Nefertiti in a long time. I haven't, you know. Haven't seen her in a long time since I left the bookstore, and that's been shit 2000 and damn. I think the last time I did lectures, I think I did them from 2005. No, it wasn't 2005. It was 2000. Was it 2000? No, it wasn't. It was 2006 when I started doing lectures there. It was during Black History Month, 2006, that I started doing lectures. And you seen them was the lectures you were seeing all over YouTube. Wasn't nobody else doing no lectures from this generation on YouTube. Okay, live lectures. General Seti every Friday. I was the one that woke up YouTube, period. Okay, right there from that store. And I remember the four lectures that I did that was the Olmec. I did the making of the white man. Uh, I think I did the one on Mesopotamia, and I think I did I think the other one was on Egypt. I think the other one was on Egypt. And so this was the flyer that I put, that's the original flyer for that. You know what I'm saying? And she did, Queen Nefertiti decided that I could come every Friday. And you could imagine I was out there, man, loud as hell in a damn mall, and that was the room right there. I brought Ashra Kwesi to Detroit too. I forget what year that was. I'm bad at not putting no damn date on some shit. You know what I'm saying? But that was back then. But I brought him, he did one lecture at Truth Bookstore, and he did the other one over at 90s Knowledge Cafe. You know what I'm saying? And so I was able to do that too, which I really, it was really, really powerful because they packed it in both days. You feel me? And so, and then after I start, and if y'all want to see, I got a few where that right there, the general at the pyramids, I'm gonna just do a couple of photos tonight. I ain't gonna, it's gonna be other where I can get more into what all the travels that I did, but that was in Kemet. This right here was at the Temple of Luxor. I was at the Temple of Luck. Damn, nigga, goddamn forearms. You know a nigga was left. Nigga forearms was thick. You feel me? And so but I'm not gonna go in because this is a lot of, it's a lot of information, a lot of photos. I just wanted to do part one today and just, and I'm gonna come back and get a little more into it and a little more intricate and open up and get deeper into some of the information around each one of those lectures and when I came back, matter of fact, where's that picture with Dr. Ben? because you could see the day when I was raised was the same year I hooked up with Dr. Ben again, right after I got raised. Where is that at? Where was I at? Hold on. That's why I got to get in here and clean this up. There I go, right there. uh, you can see me when I was being raised. I see I had that Malcolm X Detroit Red on, right? And then Dr. Ben came to Detroit the same year because he got Dr. Ben used to teach in Detroit too. He used to teach at Wayne County, Wayne State University. He also used to do summer classes at I think it was Highland Park Community College. And so he had a lot of friends, older friends in Detroit. So Dr. Ben got on a plane and flew to Detroit. And they didn't even want him to fly, but Dr. Ben got on the plane by himself and they went to the airport and got him. And you see, I got on the same year I got raised. I say, damn, Dr. Ben came, we went right on there. And I went to talking to him. You see this what he signed, and but he was going over something with me. That's this book right here, The Mystery System. You know what I'm saying? You see right there, OMS, Osarian Mystery System, 360 degrees. Dr. Ben, and I got a couple of other books down there, but he was showing me some things, you feel me? And I say, damn, it's all falling in alignment. And a lot of people don't know. I'm gonna show you one more picture of Dr. Ben in the temple. Man, Dr. Ben, this shit is crazy. I say, man, Dr. Ben, how long you been teaching, Doc? Like Doc had been in the temple so long, and I know it for a fact because when I got over there, so many people knew him. I'm talking about the priest that was in the temples. They knew Dr. Ben. Do y'all see this right here? This is Dr. Ben. This is in the temple of Karnak. This is 1989. Dr. Ben, this is 1989. This is 1989 when Doc, wait a minute, was this not, this might have even been before that. This might even been before that. You see Dr. Ben and he's reading out of the the book of coming forward by day and by night. This book, motherfucker didn't even know what the book of until the goddamn YouTube. You see what I'm saying? So he was already teaching on the papyruses. That's why Dr. Ben is the greatest. There's nobody greater than Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben is the one that gave consciousness or the God, the nether rules, the gods, and I don't care what nobody say. Them niggas come after Dr. He the one opened up our going back to the Kemet. He was the one that took us back to Kemet. Dr. Ben took us back to Kemet, the Nile Valley, Egypt. He was the first one taking us to Nubia and back to Egypt and back to Kemet. He started that. Before that, wasn't nobody going back, not on no escalated level. You might have got some people, that would, but they would have never got it like Dr. Ben gave it to them. You see what I'm saying? And so, where is that one at? I want y'all to see this. Because Dr. Ben was, when reached his he reached his jubilee year, which means he had been in Egypt over 50 years. He had been in Egypt over 50 years. I think 1989. So this might have I don't know if it was the same year or this might have even been before that. This might have been 1987. Where is that with Dr. Ben? Where is that? With Dr. Ben over there, and they were celebrating him. I might not never find it like this. I might not never find it like. Let me go in here. I want y'all to see this. And these niggas got enough nerve to come after all the work that people done, and they trying to undo. Let me see. It'll pop up. Let me see if I can find that one photo of Dr. Ben. when he did his jubilee year. I most definitely got to clean my goddamn computer off because there's so much shit on here. It just, where's that picture at? Okay, it's getting away from me. I don't know where it's at. It's getting away from me. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There it go right there. There it go right there. Dr. Ben celebrates his Jubilee year in Egypt, Northeast Africa in 1989. He had did 50 years in Egypt in 1989. But he did that was his he had by 89 he had done lectures, I mean tours for 30 years. So Dr. Ben started taking people back to Egypt in 1957. Whoa, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy work right there, man. Dr. Ben was taking people back in 1957, and he did it after he was doing it even after 1989. That was just his fifth. Uh uh that was just his 50th year being in Egypt studying, and then 30 years of it he was doing tours. He was doing tours. And again, this is showing right here the brothers. You know, they in the Holy of Holies. I think this one brother had brought the ashes of his, and they did a ceremony for that brother. And I think they took his ashes to the Nile and put him in the Nile. So you see right there reciting prayer of Khnum. I think it was a prayer to Khnum right here. Presiding priest, most worshipful. I don't know what that. Dr. Yosef ben Yakanan reciting prayer of Khnum on the ramp of the entrance to the Holy of Holies of I. So that's in Karnak. So man, what is you talking about? In 1989? And they already, I mean, Dr. Ben was a real priest. He was doing this for real. This ain't no joke. Okay. So, people think this was before there was YouTube, any internet. So he most definitely wasn't doing it for fame. He most definitely wasn't doing it for fame. You know, Dr. Ben is the greatest, man. Real talk. If it weren't for Dr. Ben, it wouldn't be nobody in the West talking about no damn ancient Egypt. Stop it. You wouldn't know nothing about the god, and you wouldn't know nothing about the papyruses. You wouldn't know nothing about the temples. You wouldn't know nothing about the netters. He the one, even this, when you look at the black man or not, this was the first thing that shook me up about Dr. Ben. And matter of fact, I'm gonna show this last one before. I ran into Dr. Ben. This was in 2003. I didn't even go. I went with Ashraf Quasi. Dr. Ben had supposed to retire, and Dr. Ben couldn't sit his ass down. He couldn't. He couldn't sit down. And I seen him walk through the door. I was almost in shock. I couldn't even believe it was him. I said, "Is that Dr. Ben?" And it was Doc. And so I was able to, be with Doc at the same time in the Nile Valley in 2003. God damn, man. I look like, I look like a child compared to where I am today. I laugh and shit that I can look back at myself and shit and look how young I was. I look like a damn child almost. Not a child, but I was young. Shit. I was way younger than I am now. Look how long that's been. Shit, that's been over damn near 25 years. But that's the grandmaster right there. And we was on Elephantine Island. That's this island right here. That's this island right here, Elephantine Island. That's like the last it's really the center between Egypt and Nubia. You really in Nubia. When you down here, you in Nubia. This is called Egyptian Nubia, but it technically had been taken over by Egypt, and so it is really Nubia. This is Aswan, Elephantine Island, and so this is just a warm up. You know what I'm saying? To get y'all, to see a little bit of it, because there's a lot of probably younger brothers and sisters that probably don't even know they know of me, but they probably don't know, the resume on that level, because it's been a while since I even brought a lot of this up, you know, that I brought a lot of this up. And this is not for no glory or nothing. I don't give a damn. This is my life. When I look up and I see this is what I was doing, I didn't do this for no YouTube. I was already doing this shit long before YouTube. This is all my books and shit that I collected. Look at that shit, man. I got so many. I got about three more of them just full. I got books everywhere. You know what I'm saying? This is what the Pan-African, you go over these niggas' house, you probably can't find a goddamn Jet magazine over these niggas' house. And everybody talking crazy and shit. Nigga, leave me alone. Leave me alone with this shit. Y'all ain't doing it on this level. We educated the populace. And now y'all niggas trying to undo that, which we have established. At least with education, with books, you can research for yourself. You can educate yourself and you can dispute it if you feel the need to dispute it. But you got to have the literature, you got to get the references, you got to know how to do research. And that's what the one thing the Pan-African, all these other motherfuckers up on you, all they got is video. They don't give literature. They don't give literacy, because they know good and goddamn well they're gonna lose on that. They don't want to go in them books. They're just like most of these niggas. And I know they should know by now. I know where they got that information. Like the guy keep coming up here talking about the Olmecs and the Mayans. I know where that came from. Don't come here with that. I know who's the author of that information. But anyway, family, I appreciate y'all being here today. This is just part one. We're gonna come back. We're gonna come back. We're gonna open this up for the family. And when I go somewhere, as I start to tap in, I'm gonna give you a little more knowledge, not saying I was there. I'm gonna show you what it is, why it's significant, why it's significant. And and maybe some of y'all already been and you can relate, you can relate to the magnificence, or some might be on their way or intending to go, and so this is what I did. This the time to get the preliminary, the prerequisite. And so when you get there, it's a more profound experience than just showing up and you ain't done no research. When you already know something about the temples, you looking for shit. You already saying, let me prove it to myself when I get there. Let me prove it to myself. Is it really here? They said it would be here. I want to prove it to myself. And then when you do that, it's so profound when you do it, because you say, yes, it's real. And that's why they really don't want you going to Egypt, because Egypt is so profound. Can't nobody tell you shit. You know what I'm saying? Egypt is real. Egypt is real. And when you get there, it's just overwhelming, and Egypt teach each person separately. You're going to have a profound connection with Egypt, and it's going to be uniquely yours. You feel what I'm saying? And nobody going to be able to tell you nothing about that experience. And so they don't want you to go, because most people that went, man, listen to me, people didn't want to go home. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. When they went, they did not. It was niggas was tearing up. I ain't gonna lie, man. It's crazy, man. When people was about to go home, it was like niggas had lost something. Like man, you almost could stay there forever. Niggas was tearing up like, man, I can't believe this shit. We about to go back home. I mean, go back to America. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, and we was already planning to come back the next year. I'll be back. Niggas can, yeah, I keep saying nigga, but it's nigga. They was already planning to come back the next year. You feel me? But anyway, I appreciate y'all, man. Patreon, get over there, get that work now. You already know I gave you the resume. You can get over there and get that work. I'll be black. I'll see y'all in a minute later on today. Share the video, like the video. See you later on. Black Power.